What's up tonight, everybody? This is the Death Metal Podcast, episode, I don't know, 127 or some baloney. How's it going, everybody out there tonight? Tonight's going to be, we're going to do an interview with Fluids, a band that I kind of picked up on from, I think, Bandcamp or something, because it seemed like there was a constant output of disgusting-looking death metal stuff. So, I mean, that immediately, obviously, I'm going to be drawn to that. So, we got two members in the house of, how's it going, everybody out there in Facebook land? I see we're on live on Facebook Live, everything. So, how's it going? What's up, No Balone? So, to bring to the stage these boys, what's going on, these men? So, this is Jan and Mavizzle. What's going on, guys? How's it going?
I'm erect as fuck right now. How you doing?
Oh yeah, your fucking microphone sounds great, bro.
Oh, this is the same one I record on.
Yeah. What's good? So tonight, I just woke up like 5 minutes ago. I didn't even get the chance to get wrecked yet. So tonight, I figured we would touch base to talk about the new stuff from Fluids and some of the old stuff too, because basically the purpose of Death Metal Podcast a little bit is also to kind of like maybe, you know, teach the viewers like a little something about the band, you know what I mean? So what's going on? The chat's saying what's up, Roy? Thanks for the show. Everybody hit the like button, please. Yeah, hit the things or whatever. So the interview with J-Dog, better be erect, sporting your CBT.
Don't get me fucking started about that shit.
Put some curves
I'm
in
so
that
fucking
brim.
fired up today from those.
Yeah, you gotta watch what you say today.
I know, fuck, dude. Yeah, I gotta be careful. Apparently, I'm a fucking poser. I had no idea. I thought that people that don't know who I am in death metal are fucking posers, but apparently I'm the poser. So it's fucking crazy.
Well, on here, basically, like I said, this show is really about the fans, and you know, I'm a collector, so I have like bought maybe some of these tapes of Fluids from like say Desert Wasteland Productions or something, you know.
Oh, that's sick.
So,
The actual FOD one.
Yeah, the old with the nice little what reminded me of like an old school like videotape box, you know what I mean? And also some old school, like, I think this was a Faces of, or Traces of Death looking cover thing, you know?
Yeah, Faces of Death.
Yeah, so it was like, you know, these releases and, sorry about that. These releases and the amount of stuff that Fluids would put out was just phenomenal. So, like, you know, also while we're talking about the amount of cool stuff, you guys that are watching should check out Fluids Bandcamp, because this is, I guess, primarily where you sell your stuff, right?
Yeah, most of it. And then we have some Night Shift merch does some stuff for us too.
Okay.
And then, yeah, some of the other guys in Indonesia and Taiwan.
All right,
FTOL.
yeah. The okay, Fat Tuballard Records and Denny from what do you call
Brutal
it?
Mind.
Brutal Mind. Cool, man. It's funny because I've known Denny since the days of I had put out the first Wake in the Cadaver album. So like I had known Denny since he had been a little kid with like a little bowl haircut, and he used to write to Wake in the Cadaver to be like, "I love you guys," you know. But as time went on, man, he became a boss, like he always says, man, boss, you know. Okay, boss. So this is their site to check out the music too, and then if you haven't, I'm sure a lot of you guys have already. You know what I mean? And but tonight, you know, we want to promote their Bandcamp or whatever, so you guys buy some shit, you know. So you know, and then also I wanted to make this episode not just about, you know, questioning the band to death, but basically just playing a little bit of rotten music and you know what I mean, just a bullshit chat, you know. So Jan, are you like the original founder of Fluids?
Yeah, me and Walter pretty much. And then, like, after we got most of the first album recorded, we brought in that's when we went looking for a singer and found Cole, who's on the first 2 albums.
Okay. And then with the first when would you guys say you kind of like formed or whatever?
Shit, I think it was probably 3 or 4 months before we put out the first EP, Arterial Rift.
Okay.
So it wasn't too long. We had put it together, and then like I was writing for exploitative practices, but then like I was like, yeah, we should probably put out a demo or a little EP or something first, see if anyone even likes it. So we quickly made that one real quick, and then found Cole. He joined, and yeah, that was it.
And
I think most of like exploitative practices was already written and ready to go.
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about, this record here. So this was already kind of written and ready to go before you guys even like and then you had some additional material and stuff, and then you come crazy with the artwork too all the time. Like this artwork is done by
my internet sucks.
What'd you say? I see it flipping in and out a little bit. Sometimes you could just log out and log back in, and it might come back in, or put your phone off data or put it off whatever the fuck, off Wi-Fi the data.
Yeah, who did the artwork?
Who did the artwork? Art on the.
Oh, I made that one.
You made this? All right.
Yes.
That's sick.
So I did the collage. I found like the picture out some old art book, and then like mirrored it, and then just collaged it all in actually I think like on a phone editor. It was before I even had Photoshop, so I think I did that on my phone.
Wow. So back when you were making your release, did you kind of feel like you were like, wow, this is a little off the hook, you know what I mean? Like, or gory, or an homage to like an old like Carcass album cover, kind of like recapitulation kind of shit?
Yeah, pretty much that, and like internet. I don't know, we didn't have any money at the time to spend on anything, so
so yeah, I understand that. Love the covers, are always insane. Gotta love the gory shit. Never realized how many vocals you guys have now. Mavizzle, and that is a sick mofo. See, you got fans here, bro. Just because you wear different hats doesn't mean that no one loves you.
I'm a man of many hats. Yeah, it's fucked up. No, fucking no, it's crazy. Like Jan's fucking artwork is fucking nuts. Like, and that's one of the first things that like drew me to the band. I mean, first, of course, it was like the guitar tone when I first heard the shit, but like when I found out like the majority of those t-shirt designs that come out, he does them. He's doing all this shit. Like,
right.
This guy is like a brilliant, just like artist and marketer. Like it's just fucking, it's crazy, man, how he like puts this shit together. Because like he'll send me like the shirt and be like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm just like, it's always a fucking green light, it's usually like little subtle shit that will like collaborate on, like, oh, maybe this color, maybe this or that, or like these words. But like it like from beginning, I mean, didn't you guys collaborate with an artist at some point a few years back that has like a whole book together of gore collages?
Yeah, Adam Medford, he did the so that's like one collages I didn't do was Ignorance Exalted. Okay. I really liked his stuff, so I hit him up for that.
Sometimes we're losing you just a little tad here and there. So you came with all this stuff too? This is pretty crazy stuff, This reminds me of like those old Alarma magazines, like the close-ups, those from Mexico or whatever. They have them on the newsstands, Like, and is this the art that you had done with someone? The Exalted Ignorance Exalted, or is it Exalted Ignorance?
Yeah, so that's the one that Adam did. Strange Creature Collages.
Okay, that's the name. The name was like taking me out a little bit. I was trying to remember the artist name. Strange Creature Collages. So yeah, I was wondering if he had done the first one too, but because this one's definitely advanced beyond that first one too. Flash that picture again, Mexican cartel photos, and they're super sexy. So yeah. So tonight, these guys also we're on here also to talk about a new release that they're going to be putting out. At this stage, you guys, it's solid to say that, like, you know, you were working with a couple independent labels, and then you had done some work with like Desert Wasteland Productions and stuff. And then and now you guys are starting to work with like Hell's Headbangers, and they're putting out some of your stuff. And I'm assuming Hell's Headbangers going to put out your newer stuff too.
Yeah, they'll have the new album.
Okay.
And then, anything they want to do after that for the year. So
what can we expect from that? I mean, what do you guys like? I notice a lot of times, you know, you guys obviously get compared to like, say, like Mortician, you know, even to the point where, you know, I'm good friends with Raj from Mortician. So I'm like, yo, you want me to ask those guys if they should be kicking down like 5% of their profits over to you, or, you know what I mean? Because and he's like, you know, they seem like they're trying to go their own thing here, you know. But he's like, they do sound a little like influenced, you know. But you know, I just wanted to we're gonna play a new track basically too, just to let people know. And then how's it going, everybody in the chat? I'm just a little discombobulated. The Jan, I don't know if you could like turn your internet like back out of the stream and then come back in, and maybe you'll end up with a better connection. All right, cool. So let me take you off Mavizzle. And then here is let's see what we got here. This is a new track unreleased from Fluids. I seen Jan popped off again there. He was on, but he was off. I'm sure he'll be back. There he is. All right. Switch in media, I see. Just turn your phone the other way, bro.
I like that comment. Like I said, I dig that shit like Ed Gein digs graves. That's badass.
You want to turn your phone the other way, Jan? Can you still see the thing, Mo? Can you hear us? Oh, he's got his mic shut off. There he goes. Oh, maybe it'll pop. There he goes. All right, here we go. Cool. And he's got the headphones. There he goes. The man. That fucking bass did sound. Double bass sounded like a skull getting riveted closed. For sure. So tonight, this is obviously we come live on Fridays and Saturdays sometimes, and yesterday we did like a kind of a black metal show. Tonight, death metal podcast with the more nasty show, like more probably closer to my style stuff. And if anyone's interested, we got zipper hoodies and t-shirts available on necroharmonic.com. So check it out. Buy yourself a nice zipper hoodie, just straight up death metal one. So, all right, we got sound, Jan? I see your mic is turned off. There you go.
Oh, you got me there?
Yeah, we got you.
Cool. Switched over to the phone. I think the computer was fucked.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, We're still good, though. You got sound. There's no echo.
Cool.
Mavizzle always sounds good, so. Comes with a high-tech fucking hat,
Yep. Fucking San Francisco hat. I'm all twinked out for tonight, baby.
So, basically, how, I just, from a production standpoint, like the new songs and most of the recordings, I mean, you guys come with really sick recordings. I mean, you more like go somewhere particular, like a studio or an engineer that you mess with, or is it self-recorded stuff, or is it all in the mastering?
Yeah, we've done everything in-house, mix, master. Walter does all the recordings, and then, me and him just sit there. Like, I don't know, we kind of got a little bit more of a formula now, but, just sit and mix, and, we do the mastering also, so.
Wow. Because you guys have a really big sound, man,
Lots of guitar tracks, lots of bass tracks.
Okay. And then, what's, just out of curiosity, like, what would be, like, what do you guys use? Like a Reaper, Cubase?
For the recording software?
Yeah.
I think he's using FL Studio still.
FL Studio? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, to record with. That's kind of cool. That's good to know, because I got FL 21. I'm surprised that you guys use it beyond the drums on there,
I don't know. I think Walter's just used it forever. He's just real comfortable with it. Like, he knows, like, every little in and out of that thing. It's crazy watching him work.
That's cool. And then with the, with the, obviously, like, coming from influence-wise, like with you, Jan, your singer seems younger, so I'm going to ask more towards you. Like, are you, like where did you kind of come into, like, listening to, like, earlier, like, say, death metal or thrash or what?
I think it was, like, 8th, 9th grade. My buddy, Zach Simmons, we were, like, sitting in class, I think it was freshman year. He was like, you heard about these guys in Norway? There's, like, a bunch of dudes burning churches and stuff. There's a book about them. So we went and got the book. We read Lords of Chaos, kind of got into black metal. And then just, went from there.
Oh, very sick, dude. Yeah. I mean, that's a good start, like, I went to school with in 9th grade with the guitarist from Funebrarum and Evoken. He used to sit just one seat ahead of me, So he used to, like, kind of, like, I would be, like, showing him, like, my notebook with, like, my Metallica fucking, like, logos on it, and he would be showing me some fucking death metal shit, and I was like, what the fuck is that, dude, Like, Afflicted Convulsion, But, like, we, like, you compare notes with your friends at school, and then, obviously, it seems like it, like, high school or some uncle or something, like, there's always, like, the bad influence, that kind of suddenly, you know, you're listening to all these, like, going down like these little dark alleys, you know. So
Yeah.
beyond the Lords of Chaos, I mean, what were your favorite black metal bands amongst that? From what takeaway did you get from that book where you're like, oh shit, I gotta buy a Mayhem record?
Yeah, we just started going and just trying to find all the albums right away, reading all the magazines, like, what was it, Terrorizer, Metal Maniacs, all that stuff back in the day.
Right, right.
Mainly looking at the ads, 'cause, like, all the ads had all the best stuff in there.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like the ads and the writing in the back of the magazines was like where all the goods were, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the magazine itself would kind of be like, I don't know, like overground, you know, like not as like less sustenance. But then if you could reach out to like the people in like the back of the magazine or the smaller ads, that's where kind of the meat and potatoes were of a lot of things, you know.
Yeah, most definitely.
What about you, Mavizzle? I mean, were you ever into like the old metal mags and looking at the old
Fuck, dude. No, I was like, so I started finding metal like right when YouTube came out, because that was like when I was in high school. I had a friend who liked computers, and we all got like viruses from that shit. So we were like
Right.
downloading a bunch of stuff. And my boys, first I was listening to like Black Sabbath, like that was my introduction to like heavier music. Like I remember I was sitting in like my dad's back seat, and someone left a Paranoid cassette in the fucking Mustang that he bought. So he just like put it on and played it from the beginning. And he's like, "Oh, I grew up listening to this shit. Listen to this." And I just remember hearing War Pigs for the first time, and it was like the most evil fucking thing. You know, I was like probably like 7 or 8 years old in the back seat hearing this, and I'm just like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Dude, I love that shit." And then my dad like gives me a guitar when I'm in 6th grade, and I grounded me for the summer with this guitar. So of course, and then he gives me a tab book for Black Sabbath though. He's like, "This is all you get to do this fucking summer." So I started like playing that, and then I started like, once I found out you could get tabs on the internet, like closer to high school, I want to say like 8th grade or 7th grade. I was asking my buddy, what should I do? Because he was like in a lot of bands. I have a friend who was in power violence bands, you know, before I even knew what that shit was. And he said, "Oh, check this band out. They're called the Black Dahlia Murder. They did. You ever heard that song Paint It Black? They did a really dope cover of it." So I heard that like cover of the Paint It Black, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" Like that was my instant gateway. Like I became a fan of that band, you know. And I don't say I'm a fan of like any band, but like that band I became a fan of. I started looking up everything I can read about dude. And then he, in his interviews, Trevor Sternad used to talk about Autopsy and all those other bands from like the 90s and shit. So that's kind of like my gateway to like those bands, because I'm like, oh, if this guy is talking about them, they're fucking sick, you know?
Right.
Because like before then, it was just like Slayer, Pantera, like all that kind of shit that like you kind of see on TV. Like I remember I used to go on like I used to go on my fucking TV on like, we had Comcast cable, and they had like on demand, and there would be music videos, like a little music video section, and it was all fucking new metal. Like you go on the metal section, it's like all new metal, and like fucking there's like one Cannibal Corpse video, but it was after Cannibal Corpse had been around for a long time, and I'm like, I don't relate with these dudes. Like these dudes are like old, and it was just weird. Like I mean, I ended up getting really into them over time, you know, but like in the beginning I was just like, you know, it's heavy as fuck, cool, but you know, it was.
Were you off put by those vocals or what?
No, it was just the guitar was so fucking chaotic, you know,
Okay.
and like I didn't. There was just I'm like, I'm never gonna learn how to play this shit, because that was my original intention. Like when I listen to music, like, oh, I want to learn how to play this, and like Black Dahlia Murder is like super hard technical shit to play, but like I was also listening to like At the Gates at the time, and like that was kind of, I was into like that melodic. I was like, oh, this is like the penultimate like metal band for me, and I wasn't into like the like Devourment or brutal death metal because I hadn't been exposed to it yet. And then once I finally like got around to that, because I started listening to Death and Obituary and like the more I feel like accessible death metal bands from that time.
Then I started consuming it from YouTube mostly.
It was all on YouTube. You go on YouTube, and back then the algorithms weren't as good, so like you would literally just get things that were related to that video that you were watching, and like they weren't like feeding me. But like, yeah, I was just listening to like, you know, grindcore, like Asuk was fucking crazy, just like shit, like just all sorts of crazy bands, and then like screamo. And when I say screamo, I'm like, I don't mean like what people say is scream, like pop punk shit. But
Right.
like I was listening to like there's this band Sweet La Loon who was fucking really cool, and they put out like all their guitars are just super clean and the dude's just screaming his fucking lungs out, kind of like a power violence band. And then bands like Yakopse and shit like that, like I like that sound. It's just like so fucking like that's what just got me into it. But then I fell out of death metal for a long time. I was like pursuing a hip hop career because I was in bands and I could never click with anybody.
Right.
I was always in a band and like they would kick the drummer. I was in this one band that like we were called. It was during the scene fucking shit going on. And I was in this band and they kicked out the fucking drummer without even telling me. And I'm like, why'd you kick this dude out? And they're like, oh, because we didn't like his look. And then I was like, well, I'm fucking out of the band because that's stupid. We just had like the dopest drummer, and they didn't like him because he liked black metal too. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like this dude is like probably vibe the closest with me on this kind of shit. And now he's gone. They brought in some new dude. They're like, well, the new guy's got gauges. We're all teenagers and shit. I'm like, that's cool. He's got gauges. Can he play? He's gonna learn. And I'm like, no. Like, so from that point, dude. So that from that point on, though, I was just like, I'm done trying to ever be in a fucking death metal band ever again. And I gave up, and I started pursuing like a solo career. Like I used to play guitar, like acoustic guitar, singing and shit. I'd write like stupid songs, and then started doing hip hop because I realized it's really easy to fucking bootleg FL Studio, download it,
Right.
and then fucking just record over beats. And I was just downloading beats from YouTube. Then I started buying beats, and then I started meeting producers that were giving me beats. But the problem is that I wasn't completely self-sufficient. Like I knew how to record, I knew timing, I knew everything, but I always kind of relied on somebody else to set it all up for me and do the mixing. And then I did that for a few years, and I fucking started doing shows, and I thought I was going to like blow up. And like literally, I want to say it was like 2016, 2017. I was doing like this mixture of like, it was like screaming rap shit that it's super popular now. Like there are artists like Ghostmane that are doing it, but I was doing this shit before everybody else was doing it. And I inspired a lot of fucking artists. Like I swear to God, there's this artist named Kill Station that fucking saw me at a show. Like I did this one New Year's show, and there are like 4 or 5 kids that came up to me after, and they were like, yo, that was super sick what you just did. I'd never seen someone scream during rap. And I was like,
Right.
like motherfucker, like these kids ended up touring. They ended up being people doing shit, and I was so reliant on other people that it just didn't pop for me. And then I kind of just like sat in the back and started doing my podcast.
Kind of that
with,
background influencer who was unsung, the unsung guy.
Yeah, and then I got super back into metal. Like it was literally around that time I started listening to metal again, and then I started reading because Trevor Sternad was writing this like. I used to follow him on Twitter, and he used to write this article where he would just list hella bands, and he'd make a playlist. I forgot what they called it, but I'd fucking start listening to everything that he was doing there. And then I started collecting because I thought collecting physical media was insane at that time. I mean, I was living out of a fucking backpack for a lot of years, so I couldn't carry shit around place to place with me. Like I used to have like a video game collection, and like my fucking ex threw it all away when I moved. So like, I didn't like value shit like that. But then it got me into collecting death metal, and then I started listening to nothing but fucking death metal. And then it just like, it came full circle. Like I started doing the podcast, and I met these fucking guys, and
Right.
it's so weird, man. But yeah, that's how I got into death metal. It was literally, a bunch of fucking
'cause you
poser
seem
shit.
like you really want to talk on the mic, basically. You know what I mean? And it's funny.
I'll go for days, bro. I do a 3-hour podcast every week.
Well, it's funny for me too, because like I also was into rap too, and hung around with a bunch of rap motherfuckers, and like I would rap too, like, and I would be the DJ, the recorder, everything. You know what I mean? And like, talking anyway came kind of natural for me. But basically, like, for you, like, I had seen you, like, pop out somewhere, like, on Instagram, or I don't know where the fuck it was.
It was
And I
with
like,
Mike.
man, this guy loves to talk, man. Yeah, it was with Mike from Werflurch. And I was like, he likes to talk a lot, like, which one of you do the beats?
Walter does the beats.
Walter does the beats? Okay. And, I mean, coming from, back, you guys live, obviously, one guy lives in Cali, the singer, right? And you, Jan, you live,
We're in Phoenix, me and Walter.
okay. And then in Phoenix, is there like, were you also tapped into the torrent and LimeWire scene early in the day, like I was too?
I don't even know if there really was. I mean, I played in a bunch of local bands, like from high school through, I don't know, probably for like 5, 6 years after that, but nothing. I don't know. It's hard being in a band with 4 people or more because there's always, someone that something doesn't work out or someone can't make it or do this or
Right.
so. Like, I kind of got out of it for a while, and then it wasn't until Walter was like, "Hey, I can record, I can program drums." And I was like, "I can do guitar and bass." So yeah,
Yeah.
tried it out, and that's how that worked out.
Big sound, like an entire band,
Yeah.
So it's definitely cool to like basically with your band and just the output, timing wise, it just seemed like you guys hit at a certain time too, where maybe like, there was like more like people were getting more interested in like Bandcamp, or they were getting more interested to like kind of connect directly with the band, let's say. And then you came with crazy visuals too, so
Seemed like everybody was starting to get into like a lot of the bands that weren't popular back in the day too. Like, dude, when I was in high school, like I had, I bought Hacked Up for Barbecue, Chainsaw Dismemberment, House by the Sea Cemetery, all this stuff on CD. And like everyone was like, oh, it's like bozo shit. It's like, everybody wanted to hear more like melodic or technical death metal, which was like, starting to become popular then.
right.
And like nobody liked any of that simple shit. And now like the simple stuff, came back around, just the hard and heavy.
No, I agree with that 1,000%. Because I mean, I used to go to Maryland Death Fest and as a vendor, so I remember talking to the guys that set it up, and I'm like, "Hey, you should get Mortician to play," And they're like, "What?" Like they're like kind of like, because at that time the consensus on like the relapse crowd was kind of like Mortician sucks. They weren't really down with that. They're like, they use a drum machine. They didn't realize like they have a real drummer to play. And the guys from Morpheus Descends, and he's been in the band for this much time, and they had the final bloodbath, but maybe that didn't really get the distribution, of the other like relapse CDs with the samples and the drum machine, and they were definitely touching, they were hitting marks that like nobody was hitting, and like I was told a long time ago by their guitar player that he's like, like I was like, yeah, how do you rate the Mortician songs? It's so fucking simple, He's like, I just start writing a bunch of riffs. He's like, I write like 9 riffs or something, and he goes, I just start stripping them down to like 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 1, one riff. He's like 2 riffs. He's like, most of the songs are like 2 riffs basically, and maybe just a bass break. You know what I mean? So I was like,
all you need.
And yeah, I thought to myself, I said, you know what? Like, thank you for teaching me that, because you brought a new perspective to me, even to be like, you know what? Your sound is simple, and you're so fucking tuned down and brutal. Now you kind of told me the formula that like you're not really using that many riffs to really make your songs in a way, And that's kind of what I get from Fluids too, Like you come loud, you know what I mean, but the thing is, like, your song structures are simple, but, and like you said, you're like not cool to listen to so like that's a good thing in today's. I saw that movement of like people wanting to listen to like more like a At the Gates and like a more technical and overplayed death metal stuff, and I was always into the like more like chunk blowing disgusting shit too, so it was like confusing to me. And then also, even nowadays too, I'm a little confused by kind of like the kind of gatekeeping, kind of like you can't like brutal death metal, and because you like to only like black death metal type shit. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like, there's a weird like dichotomy in the scene of like a difference of people that like one kind of death metal or another, or oh, I don't like that wiggity slam shit, da da da. It's like, listen, it's all fucking, if it moves you in some way, it's kind of cool. So I kind of fuck with all of it. But there's other people, I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange, man. If it's heavy, I dig it. I don't care if it's slam. I don't care what it is.
Exactly. That's how I am too. So anybody, so let's get mortician. It would be perfect world. We would get a mortician fluid split. So yeah, that would be sick.
Well,
Okay,
Roger's watching right now.
I'm not putting that. Yeah, Raj said he was going to tune in at the over at the store in Primitive Brutality store, because we were talking and I mentioned, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have fluids on, and he's like, oh, sick, like like he's also into that big sound and stripping it down like you guys, like one fucking guy, because I mean, it's not like him and Will and the drummer are all in the same room usually making those songs. Like most of the Mortician stuff, the Genesis is fucking Raj, basically, drums and all,
Yeah.
But so it was cool to there doesn't seem like there's many bands that come out that have a sound like Fluids or even like Mortician in a way. Like a lot of bands do get too advanced. Maybe they have a pretty sick demo, and then as time goes on, they kind of get like a little too guitar play, and like say,
definitely had to pull it back at sometimes before.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's like this is a cool riff, but it's definitely for like a different band or something.
Right. And then you work on a different band too. Is that Trocar?
Trocar.
Trocar, which is the device that you stick in to bomb people or whatever, right?
Yeah, well, maybe it is pronounced Trocar. I don't even know.
Yeah. There was one of those in my house here because I live in a funeral home when I moved in. So like I had seen one, like it was like rotting kind of in the corner or whatever, and I was like, yo, I know what the fuck that is. That's it. Stick that shit in people's bodies or whatever. And
do you still have it? Or
nah. It was like I bought the house, but then they came and they cleared out like all the embalming fluids and all the stuff because I was a little green at that time because I knew eBay was hot with like selling like unusual shit. So I think when I toured my house to like buy it, I mentioned offhand, I was like, oh man, I could probably just eBay all this stuff inside here. So by the time I bought the house, the fucking house was like, they emptied it out of a bunch of the funeral home shit. I was like, what the fuck, man? Fuck, dude. I thought this place was gonna come like a real funeral home. But I said it out loud during looking at the house. I didn't even sign any papers or anything at that stage, but basically it just happened to come out of my mouth for some reason. The new Trocar is really good. Didn't you guys drop something yesterday?
Yeah, the full length came out yesterday on Self-Made God.
Cool. From Poland?
Yeah.
Cool, man. And what would you say? Where would you say the difference is between like a Fluids and the Trocar or whatever?
My idea with Trocar was kind of I wanted to make like an album or a sound that was like a combination of a Prowler in the Yard from Pig Destroyer and Sickening Bliss from Regurgitate. I wanted to like make like basically a gore grind Prowler in the Yard kind of. Where it's not just like, straight like insect warfare grind all the time. Like, it can slow down, it can get weird.
Yeah.
Different stuff happening.
It seemed like the visuals scaled back a little bit from the Fluid stuff a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a little tamer on that end.
And Walter not involved at that? Is that more your thing?
Yeah, it's me and Walter, and then Schuler Benson. So we brought in a different vocalist who could do, because he wanted to start the project also, and he does like crazy high pitched vocals and stuff. So it's like a mix of like screeching highs and pitch shifted gurgles and stuff.
That name sounds familiar. Is that a pseudonym?
He does death metal radio. Is probably where you know him from.
Okay.
He's like the DJ for that. He also does Death Comes Lifting podcast.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And then he did that Symposium of Sickness too with Crypticus. They do like a show too.
Oh yeah. I seen Patrick, right?
Yeah, Patrick was it Bruss?
And yeah, you guys have a lot of different releases as far as like over the years. So figure I want to talk about a few of them just with you directly. This is one of your earlier? No. What's your earliest release?
The earliest one was Arterial Rift.
Okay, that's your earliest one. Let me see. And then You put out too, like you put out like releases with like this Mexican label. They were like a business card looking fucking thing and shit.
Yeah, Rectal Purulence.
Rectal Purulence Records.
Yeah, so he's like
Is this more
mainly
like your
just like
earlier stuff on there?
yeah, he used to put out like lots of singles on those little biz cards, as what they call them, which are like a little mini CD that's even like chopped even smaller into like a rectangle, so you could like. Apparently, back in the day, you were supposed to like be able to put them in your wallet and like hand them out if you were like a band or something.
Right. Yeah, those are a pretty wild like format you don't really see, because I remember when I had ordered that particular release, like I looked at the CD business card thing and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm not sticking this in my CD player, basically, you know? Like, you gotta have a top loader for this only, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, over time too, I noticed you guys had done some splits where you had a split with like Pharmacist, which
Yeah,
you
that was a fun
know,
one.
yeah. And I mean, I had bought the cassette of this off of Bandcamp or something, you know. So I don't know which label, Gurgling Gore or something, released the cassette.
Yeah.
So back in, you know, Pharmacist, also a pretty sick band. It feels like sometimes, I'm just going to say this out loud, but sometimes it feels like some of the bands have like kind of like a, like even with Pharmacist, kind of like you don't know shit about the band, basically, because they're not putting themselves and their faces out there as hard. They're just putting their music out there, their disgusting fucking graphics, and it's not all about like them, you know, like like visually, you know what I mean? So like even with Fluids, like I've seen like 2 fucking band photos of you guys total, you know, and it just doesn't. You just let the music kind of do the, you know, the thing, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't even know if there are any pictures of Pharmacist.
That's what I mean. Like, there's with Pharmacists too. I was like, are they? You know, like I'm like, they kind of reek of Japan. Like, you look at their releases and you kind of say, like, this reeks of a Japanese label, a person making this. But then you're like, I don't really know if it is though, because they don't have shit info on them, you know.
Yeah, the dude. I only talked to the one dude in the band, like the guy who writes, like I think does the vocals and guitar and stuff. I think the other guy's the drummer. But yeah, I knew they were out of Japan, so I was like talking about like, hey, maybe we do something Japanese theme for the split. And he's like, I'm actually not from Japan. He was from like Poland or somewhere in like
Right.
Eastern Europe, and he's like, I just live in Japan now, so I wouldn't. Yeah, so let's not do that.
That's pretty interesting. And then, I mean, how do you, you know, like, say, where, you know, where do you connect with, like, a Pharmacist? Are you guys just, like, they're fans of each other?
Pharmacist was, I think it, what's his name? Grindfather
Right.
out of
UK?
UK, that label. I think he was the one that he emailed, or yeah, he messaged me and he was like, what do you think about doing a split with Pharmacist? And he was like, I guess he kind of just brokered that one. Most of the time, like all the other splits are like, you know, a band, like just us hitting each other directly for it. But
Right. Saying,
But
like,
that-
hey,
yeah.
I like your band. Could we do a split kind of thing?
yeah, I guess the Nunslaughter also was like that. Hell's Headbangers just, you know, they messaged us asking if we wanted to do a split. I guess the Nunslaughter guys always have so much extra material they need to
Right.
get released.
And with the, you know, with doing splits and you instead of, you know, I mean, you have some full lengths and stuff, but obviously doing some splits and getting, you know, is there any bands that like you would be on your wish list to do a split with or something?
We gotta see if bring out Mortician for that Dream split.
There you go.
I don't even. Did they ever even do a split? I think they might have done one.
They did one with Flesh Grind.
Flesh Grind, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I know they definitely did that one. There's a split 7-inch with Immolation, but that's from the Day of Death. That was like unauthorized, you know.
Mm.
So Battle Royale is the best movie. Are you guys really into horror movies and stuff too? Because you're kind of like, you know, you have a lot of true death theme stuff on your covers. But are you a big fan of like, say, like you know, like Italian horrors and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I like all that stuff. I just wanted to stay away from like doing anything musically with like any of that kind of imagery.
I gotcha. Because there's a lot of that obviously out there.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of bands are capping on, taking old Italian. I see hip hop bands doing it too, actually, which they kind of take old Italian movie poster stuff and they kind of like try to turn it into their own covers and their own fucking artwork, Or the samples being all the same, like, oh, that's from that fucking movie. Like everybody and their mother saw fucking Deadbeat at Dawn, And Bottego was sampling them in fucking 1990. Now it's 2020 fucking 3 or something, and you're still using samples from that, same movie. Where you guys also too with your samples, are you coming with some true death type shit?
No, yeah. Basically all of it that, or like that split with Pharmacist, all that was all from like like I guess basically a heroin documentary that they made in New York in like the early 90s. They just followed like 4 or 5 junkies around like for like a year straight. So, I don't know, any kind of like true life, real like fucked up subject matter. Like basically, if I see something, like I'll know it when I hear it or see it. If that's something, that's must watch like I don't know, shit tons of videos, and I'd say 99% of them are not worth doing anything with. But like you find those ones that like kind of tell a story, or there's something real interesting there that you want to write some music for it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I mean, are you picking it up off of VHS, or are you picking it up off YouTube, or just general?
Kind of all over. I mean, I collect like the old Traces of Death and any of the old weird like Mondo gore videos and stuff. But most of it comes from Reddit, or I mean, there used to be some websites, but most of that stuff's gone these days.
Yeah, they got rid of all the like kind of like sketch like websites. Like what the hell was that one? You probably can't even talk about it on here, actually.
Rodden.
Well, there was that one too. Yeah, like they got rid of that one, and then I don't know what was it, Live Leak.
Live Leak was one.
Oh, Live Leak was good. Yeah, they had good videos.
A lot of good stuff on there,
Documenting reality.
A lot of Asian people like to get run over by like buses and stuff. I noticed.
They do a lot of industrial work over there. So.
Yeah. Like Indians and Asians, like they don't look both ways or something, They definitely like they got run over by like there was so much like stuff on there that's like related to like people getting into bizarre accidents,
I think like driving laws are different too, though.
Yeah.
Like I've known people that have gone like like South America to like certain places, and they were like, dude, like passengers don't have the right of way in South America. Like you cross that street, they're gonna they don't give a fuck if you got a baby with you or whatever. They're not gonna stop. They will hit your ass and keep moving. And then like it'll be like a 6-year-old kid driving the fucking car or something.
Right.
Like,
crazy. There's no laws basically for driving in certain countries.
In the U.S. too, that shit happens. They say, what is it in the U.S.? Fucking like seven people die every 10 minutes by car accidents in the U.S. And then they're talking about that solar eclipse or whatever. When when the last solar eclipse happened, the number raised to 10 because there were so many people rushing to go watch the solar eclipse. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I gotta see this shit. I'm about to fucking wreck my shit trying to see this shit.
Trying to like look out the window at the same time in their cars. They're driving and shit, and they fucking end up against a telephone pole,
burning their fucking retinas.
Yeah,
they're fucking speeding to get to Texas.
I swear we had one of those eclipsey type things where like it was like the sun went over the moon and they're like, don't look at it directly, and I was like, I couldn't stop myself, like it was like a moth,
You can't see
I looked right at it, It's like I have to see it, It's not gonna happen that often, Just out of curiosity, just to see what the hell said. They say not to look at the sun while driving during the eclipse. Exactly, dude.
Yeah, they say it lowers. So like when you look at the sun, normally it burns your eyes. But when you fucking look at the sun during the eclipse, it doesn't burn your eyes, but your eyes are still getting burned the same way. That's why they say don't look at it, because you can look at it, but it's just burning the fucking shit out of your retina. Now, but there's still a high likelihood of your eye not healing properly after looking at it, and then you're just gonna be blind.
Yeah, it's hard not to look at, man. You know, I don't know what the deal is. It's like a car accident on the side of the road where you see like blood. You know, you just like you have to slow down a little bit and be like, hey, what happened? You know.
And I'm a piece of shit. We were out there in Arizona the other week, and I thought I saw a dead dude like in a car accident and shit. And I was like, oh shit, it's real gore. It's real gore. I got like a video of it on my
He's
phone.
like, I gotta get my camera out.
Yeah, he owns up front, and he's like, yeah, you almost like what? And he like looked. Let me see this shit. Like,
and you you were did you go out to Arizona to record with the new stuff that we just heard?
No. So I do all the recording from here. I didn't use this microphone on the new album. I used a fucking it was like a Sterling ST something. I used that mic for years, and for my podcasting before. But what happened was the dog was in town. I went out there last year to meet these dudes, and then fucking went back to take those pictures for the album.
Right.
The album was done, last year when I came out, I think.
Yeah, in October
of last year. We've been sitting on it for a bit.
You guys have been sitting on these songs for a while, basically.
Yeah.
Notice a lot of your song titles are really short. Any reason? Like that you keep the real short, capped and this?
Yeah, just like coming up with like, I don't know, you see some people in like either like gore bands having like 4 pathological words, or like, I don't know. I just like simple song titles.
Yeah.
Feel like you
this is
leave a little mystery to them.
Keep it stripped down, and then maybe when you're writing it, you have to name it something, and then I've heard that someone mentioned offhand that your vocals weren't real, like there was no real lyrics or something.
There's definitely lyrics.
Okay.
Like we don't print most of them, but I mean, there's only a couple of times we've printed certain songs on some splits, but.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there might be certain parts in songs where they're just growling some sounds on some stuff, but the majority of it is it's all real words.
Okay. So it would be awesome if you could just number them without looking like an asshole. Yeah, like if you mean your song titles, definitely, dude. What's up, Stefan Goldberg? What's up, Roy, Mavizzle, and Jan? Hope you're doing well today. Hails to Nick Hickok. My little Texas town is packed of people coming here for the eclipse. It took me a long time to get to Little Caesars in my teenage. Okay. So, Pharmacist has insane song titles. Yes, they do. So what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in tonight to this impromptu. I mean, we've set this up pretty fast too, right? I was like, we were on the IG Live, right? And I think I mentioned to you.
Yeah, dude, I was fucked up that night. I don't know what the fuck was that. Easter?
Yeah, it was Easter.
Dude, I was fucked up, dude. I went out, so I just got back from Arizona the fucking day before, and I was like, I was drunk that night too, I think. No. Yeah, no, I came back Saturday. So what happened was I was all fucked up in Arizona because we went to midget wrestling, we did all that shit. But then I came back and I'm like, I am not drinking, right? And I like go over to my cousin's house and fucking they were like, here, have some beers. And I was still kind of like jet lag, like traveling just takes everything out of me, And like I drank like fucking 3 beers and it wasn't making me drunk, it was just making me dizzy. So I said, okay, well, I gotta start drinking some whiskey now. And then I knocked back like fucking like maybe like 4 shots of fucking whiskey from that point. And then I get home and my wife was like, you're going to bed. And I'm like, no, I'm going live. And fucking, I went live and fucking, you just happened to hop in. And I was like, fucking, I shouldn't have been online. It's like, you ever see like, what's it called? Like fucking,
don't give this guy a car, man,
What's that show? No, I don't drive. No, I drive. I don't.
I'm going for a ride.
Yeah. Only when I'm in Idaho where it's legal. But no, fucking no, what's that show? Intervention, right? Like, right. You ever seen like that episode where the dude's like on crack and he's like a contractor, so like he has this super productive life and everything, but every night his wife is like, yeah, at 8 o'clock that's when he goes down in his office and he does his crack, and they set the camera up and he fucking goes in there and he just starts like writing all sorts of nonsense on the fucking like whiteboard, and he's just like yelling at the camera and shit. I'm like, that's like me some nights, dude, like down here. And
Yeah.
just but I do it on Instagram Live, and that's how
your
I got
wife-
to where I am today. So.
Yeah, your wife better get that crack pipe out of your hand, dude. You know.
Yeah. No, the crack pipe's good. It kind of balances out the alcohol.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard it straightens you out, right?
Yeah.
Angry husband rage.
No, I'm not like an angry guy.
The soul
Sometimes
cheese
I am.
split?
I am angry
Yeah.
today. I'm fucking pissed off, dude. I'm not.
Yeah,
Motherfuckers calling me a fucking poser. The fuck do I look like? I got fucking cassette tapes over here from the fucking 80s that are still sealed. That fucking motherfuckers. My thing is, I don't, when I talk
Still
death
sealed.
metal, when I talk death metal, I don't like to fucking have that. Let's have the conversation where I name 50 bands you don't know and you name 50 bands that I don't know, because that's never a fun conversation. So I always try to keep it grounded and not come off as pretentious. That's the thing about gatekeeping, and it sucks because when I tried to get into death metal, I would encounter people like that. Like the first time I met a guy that had a Deicide shirt, he was a total dick and like that, and it made me say I don't want to listen to fucking Deicide for like a period of time. And then I finally listened to them. I'm like, oh, they're pretty sick.
There's
like
kind
this-
of a reason for that, the gatekeeping, but at the same time, it could be taken overboard. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want anyone to like what you like, basically. So that's the main goal of a gatekeeper, I would
It's
say.
my personal fucking.
But it's
thing.
a little different when it comes from like a record label owner or something, because usually they don't gatekeep because they want people to listen whatever the fuck they're putting out. You know what I mean? So it's definitely different to hear someone a little gatekeeping if they run a record label. They're usually a little more like subtle, you know. But you know what? As long as the thing is with somebody who does gatekeep like that, like at least you know he's wearing his heart on his sleeve or whatever the words they say is, like he tells exactly what the fuck is on his mind. So I kind of respect that fucking aspect of it. If you don't like certain shit, you don't like it. It fucking sucks, you know. Like you're not scared to say, like you're not gonna try to change it just for the fucking sake of changing it. I mean, a lot of times on here, like I don't listen to Cannibal Corpse. I didn't listen to them because I had heard Mortician kind of before Cannibal Corpse. So like, you know, everything, you know, certain bands, like I always set the bar to like a Mortician, even with the demo stuff and the first EPs and stuff. So it's like, well, this band is not even half as heavy as this shit, you know what I mean? So why the fuck would they even break the ice on their album, you know? You hear like one song on a Nuclear Blast comp and you're like, what the fuck, man? It's fucking garbage, dude, you know? It's gotta move along.
You put out heavy shit. You put out Gut. Like you said, you're the first person to put out Gut. And I remember when the first time I picked up a Gut tape, you know, I'm like listening to this shit and fucking, I was just like, oh my God. Like talk about like, you know, a sample you need to shower after hearing, like that kind of shit. I love that, you know, like that brutal death metal, man. There's nothing that touches it, you know?
Yeah.
And
when we put out the Gut stuff too, yeah, like nobody, like, yeah, people, it took a long fucking time for people to give a fuck. They were like, what the fuck are those vocals, dude? You know, it was just confusing. I mean, but I understand because when I first got into Napalm Death, you know, I had gotten the Enslavement to Obliteration record. And then I held it up at the store and I asked my friend, I said, what does this sound like? It comes with a free 7-inch and all this shit, you know? He's like, oh yeah, it sounds like Exodus. I was like, oh cool, man, I'm definitely fucking buying this, you know? So I go home, put it on the fucking turntable. I put it on. It's like it starts with this slow ass intro, you know, and then all of a sudden, and I was like, what the fuck is this, dude? This does not sound like Exodus. Then I was like kind of playing with the fucking, you know how you had like the knob on the fucking record player? You're like, maybe this is playing the wrong speed.
You ever been I mean, I know you don't drink, Roy, but have at any point, you ever been so fucked up that you don't know if you're playing the shit at the right speed. Like
course.
I've been so drunk that happens to me all the time. And I'll be playing an album like super slow, or no, sometimes I'll be playing it at regular speed and I'll be like, you know what, I think this shit's slow, and then I'll speed it up and be like, no, that don't sound right either, and then nothing sounds right to me.
Yeah, I mean, I used to drink, first of all, so let's get that out of the way. For a long time and quite a lot. And yeah, there was certain like records I would get like in the 90s, like Hideous Mangalus even, who I knew, you know, and I had heard on a comp tape, but then I had gotten one of their 7-inches and I was like, I put it on the tables and I was like, I don't know what speed to play this in, you know? I was like, it sounds really good slow, but I think it's supposed to be this faster fucking speed, unfortunately, you know? It's like I wanted it to be slow. Spermines Most Wanted, exactly. The guys from Gut, I had written to them because they were in Pyogenesis originally. So I was getting like the Pyogenesis demo, and then I would write to like more than one guy in the band. So I had written with one of the guitar players. He's like, oh, we have another band. It's called Gut, too. And they had sent me the recordings of all the earliest Gut singles. The hyperintestinal vulva desecration, which I ended up putting out, and then the acidified pussified, and then what was the other one? The Spermines Most Wanted one. Yeah, so those other ones were put out by like German labels, but I just remember getting all fucking high with my boys. We were smoking some weed in this dude's closet or whatever, and I put the headphones on, and I was like, man, this fucking vocals sound amazing with headphones with this Gut, dude. Like, and it just attracted me towards it, and I'm like, I have to put this out, man. I need to talk to this band, and I need to, more people to hear this. And then, yeah, when I put it out, people were like, what the fuck is this? And then, like, also with the cover, like, Steve-O had done, from Impetigo, had drawn the cover. So, like, on the cover, it's like an operating table. It's just a cartoon, you know, but, like, there's some like necrophilia going on or whatever. So like everywhere I would go, like I would be like, hey, I got to make this into a cover. I'm making a record and all this stuff. And they're like, they would look at the cover. Yeah, they're like, sorry, we can't help you. I'm like, what do you mean?
You know, just like, think you're fucking weird.
Yeah.
They're like, this fucking pervert.
Well,
what's he doing here?
The biggest excuse I got was, my wife works here, you know? So they're on the side, it's like they wanted to do it, you know? But they're like, yo, my wife works here, man. I can't make that, you know?
They're like into it. Like, I can't let my wife know I'm into that.
He's like, hey, can I get that picture to look at later?
Like, I'll tell you the story right now because it kind of.
Let me get one copy of that to bring it home for later.
Yeah, you asked me to tell this story on the fucking thing, so I'll knock the story out because we are going for time. But so fucking that we put out that American Pickerist album. I'm sure you've seen. Do you have a picture of it? Can you like pull it up?
Yeah.
So we put this fucking album out last year. This was like when I met these guys, you know, they were like, hey, originally it was supposed to be one track, and we did this one track, and I said, what's my direction? What do I say? And they said, you know, do the nastiest shit that you can do on an album. And I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Dark version up there so you can't see what's going on.
Right.
So but yeah, so fucking you know, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and you know, I sent it over and they liked it, and then fucking they hit me with a second beat, and they were like, hey, we have a couple more actually. So they started sending it to me. It turns into this whole album. And then as the artwork came together, it was like just getting more and more fucking absurd until it turned into like the filthiest like thing I've ever seen. And
you have Larry Wang on there from I know who he is, but it's just like some of the names on here. It's like featuring Larry Wang, Pissing Loud, Liz Lauderdale, Cum Sword, and Boss Game.
Yeah. It was supposed to be like one of those No Limit, you know, album covers.
Oh, I could tell, yeah.
Like super inspired by that. and so this whole thing comes together, and like fucking a label actually picked it up and fucking put it out. So like I'm driving around with these because I had my copies sent to me. So Jan ships over my copies to me, and I put some online, and then I'm selling them like out of the fucking trunk of my car, my work car almost, because like I have no people that wanted it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm selling it to a couple people. And then I had this box that had like 3 of them left. And I was going to go back and, use them for online shipping. But I go to this house and I work in sales. I'm a sales dude. So I go into this fucking house and I'm trying to sell, something to this couple. And I like do my whole job and everything, take a look, assess what, get them their estimate. I get them the estimate, and when I'm a like sales guy, like at heart, like old school, like I get to know the people I'm gonna sell to one to decide if I even want to sell it to them, because you never want to sell to a crazy person because it's gonna be nothing but problems, right? So I fucking go and I'm like, hey, yeah, I could take care of your problem, da da da. And like the lady's out there smoking a cigarette, and I'm talking to her, and she goes, yeah, da da da. So I'm like, so where are you from? She's like, oh, I'm from this part of Oregon. And I'm like, oh, my friends used to do shows out there. And she goes, oh, what kind of shows? I used to go to death metal shows in Oregon. I go, death metal? Like, you like death metal? So she starts talking about like, oh yeah, I went to school with the guy from After the Burial and da da da, and like I listen to all these bands. I'm like, oh no shit. And she's like, my husband's more into that stuff. So I'm like, sick, let's go talk to your husband. So I go inside and start talking to the husband, and he's like, yeah, I like Darkest Hour, Black Dahlia Murder, and like starts naming off some bands that I'm like, oh, I know those bands. And I kind of was reaching. I'm like, you ever hear of Mortician? And they're like, yeah, Mortician's cool. And I'm like, oh, you might like this band that I'm in. I said, yeah, actually, they were like, oh, you're in this band? I'm like, yeah, I told them the story. I'm like, well, I started out doing this hip hop album with them, and then it turned into me doing their vocals. And they're like, oh, you did like a hip hop? We love hip hop. And I was like, oh, well, I have a CD in my car, because I hadn't closed the deal too. And I'm just kind of like talking to these people, and I'm like, yeah, they're cool. And I'm like, just to warn you, because I'm not really thinking about the CD too much at this point. Like, maybe it was like a unself-aware moment.
Right.
But I'm just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna hook them up with the
like
CD.
Death metal, yeah, cool.
Yeah, yeah, they're cool.
You were still in salesman mode.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, just to warn you, it's super not safe for work. I'd say a lot of weird stuff on there, and the artwork's really weird on there. But I'll give you a copy of this. And I have one in my car. I'll give it to you. And I go, okay. So the second I say that, I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm thinking in my head, why do those words come out of my mouth? Like, I need to fucking go to my car and fucking grab this fucking thing now, and they're gonna see me butt ass naked on the fucking cover of it. And all I'm thinking about is the cover. On the back of it, it has like a picture of a chick getting choked out over a toilet with like poop all over her face. And then inside of the CD, there's like a naked bodybuilder. There's a gore face guy. And then not only that, but on like the more and more I describe it, the worse it gets. Like it says like,
look like a naked bodybuilder with like implants or something. I'm not sure. Is that what?
And it says, instead of like vocals, like, or lyrics, it says fucking Mavizzle, penis. Like, I play the penis in Fluids. Cause I thought I told Jan, I'm like, hey, put that I play the penis. That'd be hilarious. And fucking, and it says soft and hard penis, soft and hard. So I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I fucking go out and I grab this fucking CD, dude. And I fucking, like, I'm like, no, I'm walking out and I'm thinking, as I'm walking out, I'm like, I'm not giving them this CD. I'm gonna fucking look in the box and say, oh, I don't have one or whatever. But the husband fucking follows me out to the car to get this CD. And I'm like, and I'm so stupid because my friends told me since then, they're like, why didn't you just throw them another CD? And I was like, fuck, I have like 5 CDs in my fucking car. I could have gave them any other CD, but I didn't think to, because I was like, so I hand the fucking CD to the guy. And the guy fucking like looks at the front and kind of laughs. And I'm like, just to let you know, if it's too heavy, hey, you could toss it, give it to one of your friends or something. But it's some really out there stuff. And like, he's like, oh, that's cool. And then he like looks at the back of it and sees like the shit and the titles of the songs too. Like that, I can't even think of fucking the worst song title on there. Like there's there's Pull My Muscle, Master of Kinks, like fucking people won't know what a picurist is unless they Google it probably, but there were so many just fucking bad things, and the guy's face just like gets serious as fuck when he sees the back in concern. And I just get in my car and I'm like, have a great day, and I smash out of there. And I'm like, god damn it. Like I'm thinking, dude, I just gave someone fucking pornography. Like right. because I got excited because they said they knew a band that I knew, and I'm like, and they're totally not into that kind of death metal like that, like the brutal shit. And yeah, it was one of those moments where I was just like, I wish I could turn back time and never do it again. But what happened was I called my boss up immediately and I told him what happened. And my boss fucking tells me, he's like, well, he's like, if you didn't tell me, I'd probably be pissed off. But he's like, that's the stupidest fucking thing you've ever done. Like, don't ever do some shit like that again. He's like, I'm not going to fire you. I mean, what can I do? You thought you... He was like, what did he say? He said, you're doing so good. He's like, I can't get mad at you for that one. Because I closed like 5 jobs in a row, and this was like my 6th job too. So I feel like that kind of like when you're in sales, when you're having a killer week, you start like testing the limits. Like, can I do this? Can I do
really
that?
tested them,
Bro, I've done crazy shit. I've like fucking like like done shit like smack shit down, or like done some like crazy presentation types, like out of a movie type shit in houses. And I'm thinking, oh, this CD is it's the humdinger, bro. It's gonna get me the fucking clothes. It's gonna get me the dough right here. And then
meanwhile, you're pulling out of the driveway, and the cops are pulling in the other direction. Stop that guy.
I was so fucking I was so paranoid. I'm like, I didn't do a follow-up with... I always follow up with customers I don't buy. I like did not follow up with that one. I was like, I felt so bad. I didn't mean...
The guy took the CD. He's like,
I don't want to hurt
threw
anybody.
in the fucking garbage when he got
I hope that or he liked it. My one friend said they probably liked it. I'm like, I don't think they like. Even the people that were buying it were kind of buying it just to say they like to either support me or just to be like, yeah, like this is like to make fun of me. It's like the 2 reasons they'd buy it. But I was damn proud of that, man. I mean, I fucking said some weird ass shit.
Proud enough to show it to like the rest of your family and everything, and when you grow up,
dude, they all
like, hey,
wore.
Look.
They went on Night Shift merch and they fucking bought the t-shirts. My one cousin bought like 8 of the fucking album art t-shirts, and he fucking they all wore them at Friendsgiving last year. Yeah, he had his kid in one. Like, they were all wearing it because they were just like, holy shit. And I was like, that's cool. Like, you guys are supporting me. If the shirt sells, it sells. Like,
that's funny.
At
Thanksgiving, no less. Grandma's there.
Yeah. Oh, my one aunt was like, I'm not wearing that. She was like, what the fuck is wrong? They always thought I was like a weirdo too. So like when that happened, I feel like it confirmed it. Like,
right.
Yeah, that shit was great.
They're like, never let him babysit.
But yeah, I couldn't have done it without these fucking guys, man. They're the heaviest. They make the heaviest shit, and fucking
and the premise on you guys meeting too. I remember there was a little story behind that. Like, you said that you were trying to touch base, and they were kind of just ducking you.
Dude, they weren't ducking, but like Fluids is hard to get a hold of.
I definitely was. He's trying to get me on his podcast. I was like, fuck that noise.
Yeah. I noticed you guys didn't really have too much information out there. That's what I'm saying. So I thought it would also be cool for our listeners who are more attuned to what we're doing here,
Yeah.
Like me, tape, I'm into tape collecting, the Bandcamp culture, and the scuzzy music. Obviously, I play on here. I'll say like, hey, oh, death metal podcast, but I'm playing like some fucking totally disgusting fucking shit. Not malevolent creation, It's like fucking ulcerous phlegm or some shit. But yeah, so you tried to reach out to the band and they kind of just were ducking you, and then eventually you end up as the singer? That's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. They were my favorite band. Like I said, it felt like, when they were like, you want to be the dude, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it reminded me of that movie like Rockstar, where the guy just like knows all the lyrics and shit, and they're just like, yeah, like you're gonna do Steel Panther, right? Like fucking that's really what it really felt
Journey
like.
Moment.
Yeah, dude, that's what I said. Like Journey, because I was just tripping the fuck out because, I remember like talking to these dudes. It was all just he is the only message I would fucking get back for like 2 years, or for like a year and a half, I think. And then I did a song that because Mike knows them and from Warflurch. So like I did this one song, sent it to Mike. We never released it, but there was this funny ass line. I said like a bunch of funny ass shit talking about Warflurch Wednesday, and then I said like it's been 6 months since Fluids left me on red. So Mike thought that was funny.
Uh-huh.
And then sent it over to him, and then fucking yeah, we like he was like, hey, that was pretty tight. They were trying to do a hip hop album at the same time when they heard that, and then that's when it was kind of like yeah, you guys were just like, you know, hey, let's see what fucking happens, you know, and then the shit worked out, man. It's crazy. I feel like when they sent me that first song, I was like, I want to offend them, you know, because like they made me feel like I needed to take a shower. So I want to say like the craziest off the wall shit, and you know, but it was weird because like I feel like I did it without punching down. Like it wasn't like some shit that you could like really cancel me for. You'd probably just think I'm a real fucking weirdo for saying all that shit.
The first release that you were on, this one?
That was the first like actual release. Yeah, we did that was a chopped and screwed version of a song that went on the album.
Okay.
And then but that was Piled 3, and that was also, the Piled 3 was also featured on Dissertations, right?
Yeah.
On the three-way split.
Three-way split with Lipoma and Trocar.
Okay, and that's this too. So this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's sick.
What label put this one out? I didn't really catch that.
The CD was the Horror Pain Gore Death was the CD, and then I think the Scumlord that did the tape. Yeah, I never keep any of the tapes. I keep a CD. I only collect CDs, so I keep a CD of everything.
Oh, okay. So when you get like copies, you just keep the CD. You're just like, tapes. But you have a lot of tape releases, you know?
Yeah, I have a lot. Yeah, vinyl tape. It's just like I've started collecting CDs since I was young, and then like by the time like vinyl made a comeback and became popular again, I was like, it's too late to switch. I'll stick with the CDs.
I mean, they do sound the best. I mean, but at the same time, your band was putting out like releases that look like this, basically.
Where that looks so dope.
Yeah, like a fucking clamshell box set with a fucking, you know what I mean? Like, that resembles kind of like a true death Japanese gore, like, you know, horror art thing, you know?
Yeah, I think that was like a version of the Japanese Traces of Death cover that they had for like the Japanese release, so. And that was like all those the VHS clamshell cases. That was all Sean at Desert Wasteland Productions, who like had most of those designs going. That was all his idea.
Yeah, I mean the end result though, when you really look at this release and the subsequent ones, because didn't he do like one for Japanese version, one for US kind of touch base?
Yeah, there's like I think there's 4 different box sets of those that were like 30. I think there was 30 of each of them with like all the little goodies inside.
Yeah, so beyond, you know, the music, which is disgusting, obviously, you know, like you have the stuff coming in this clamshell case, which like kind of represents like the 80s, you know, when you go to the video store and like kind of on the sneak tip, like your parents would be renting like normal movies and you would be like trying to slip in like that, like Traces of Death or whatever, you know? Be like, here, I want to get this one right here. Like, I'll check it out afterwards, you know? Trying to set up your VCRs at home and like own a copy for yourself, you know, figuring out how to like dupe the fucker for yourself, you know. So I mean, obviously, you know, the packaging and the aesthetic was like kind of it's definitely like alluring to like be like, well, what does this band sound like now, you know? And then you let this singer join, and then he starts rapping. And did that have any kind of like backlash on like?
Definitely. I think it turned off most people, but I mean, Walter makes all these sick beats, like all this like badass electronic music for Fluids and like on his own, and I was like, we had made like some things that turned into some beats, so I was like, might as well just, you know, release it, get somebody to rap on it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, at least you stepped outside the box to, you know, do exactly what you wanted to do, you know? Mav, tell the story when you spoon-fed when you were sleeping.
This is a quick one. I was fucking at my fucking... I was living in this house where fucking... I had 2 roommates, and one was like this old dude he was probably like fucking 70 years old, 60 years old. Guy had... Basically everyone in this house minus me had a combination of like 6 teeth total. And fucking this dude... So me and my wife just moved in, and it was like $500 a month. They set us up pretty good. The other roommate was like a fucking heroin addict in the other side of the house, but he kept to himself, and we didn't live there very long because it started to get bad. But what happened was one night this dude made chilaquiles, and fucking he was so zanned out that he like came into my fucking bedroom. Like he kept knocking on the door, and I'm like, "What's up?" And he like opens the door, and I'm in bed with my wife. Like we're just sitting there, like watching like TV, getting ready to go to sleep. And fucking he comes up and he goes, "Hey brother, you gotta try one of these chilaquiles. They're real good." And I'm okay, Jay. Like I'm good, man. I don't need that. Like right now, I'll go get a plate in a moment. Thank you, I appreciate it. And he goes, "Oh brother, they're so good. I just made these chilaquiles. They melt in your mouth, brother." And he like fucking had like a spoon. Like he came over in my face and like put the spoon of chilaquiles like in my face. And my wife is sitting next to me. We weren't married yet. We just started dating. And she's sitting there and she's just like looking at me like you're not gonna fucking eat the fucking shit. And I was just like, you know what? Like, if it's gonna make him go away, I'm gonna fucking eat the fucking chilaquiles. And I fucking took the bite of the fucking chilaquiles from fucking Jay, and then he went back in the other room. He went away.
Jeez.
And my wife is just looking at me like, did he already take a bite of those chilaquiles like before he gave them to you?
Oh shit, yeah.
And I'm like, I think he did. Like right when
ABC.
he fucking took a bite.
Yeah.
You gotta like I just moved into a place after literally sleeping on a floor, you know, and I didn't want to like rustle any feathers, you know.
Right.
Ruffle any feathers, but I fucking looking back on it, I told that same story to Uncle Ken, and I said, "Ken, you're a polite ass dude." Because I asked Uncle Ken, I said, "Who would you rather have as a roommate, Chris Barnes or Glenn Benton?" He like wouldn't even answer that question because he was like, "No, I don't want to disrespect anybody." I'm like, "So if you were in that situation with the chilaquiles, would you do the same thing I did just to?" Not upset anybody. And he said, "Hell no." I would have said, "Get the fuck out of my room. I'm not eating those chilaquiles off your fucking spoon, dude." So I'm like, fuck, dude.
Pre-eaten, pre-chewed.
Yeah. No, never. That's why I don't ever eat off anybody else's spoon, though, no.
Yeah, that sounds like your next album title. So when you guys have, when you, when you guys get together for like a writing process, is there like a process behind this where you guys connect in like a studio at Walter's or something? Like,
I usually I do all the writing at home, so I bring usually every time I have a song ready, we'll go over a Monday night or something, and then spend one night on doing one song. Like sometimes it may 1 minute song might take 2 hours to do,
right.
Get it all mixed, and because there's ends up usually being 3 guitar tracks, multiple bass or 2 bass tracks, and then we have to program on the spot, get it all together, and then we'll send it over.
Yeah, and so you don't record any of this stuff at home. You kind of just do it with Walter.
Yeah, just on my little voice recorder on the phone, just in case I forget the next, as I'm writing it, so I don't forget a riff. But yeah, I don't have any actual recording equipment here.
I got you.
Which would be easier, I guess, if I just recorded here, sent it there, and it all just got sent back and forth. But we basically, me and Walter work on everything together, just at his place because he's got a real nice setup.
Yeah, and getting together is probably a better thing too, because something probably comes more generically natural from it,
Yeah, so it's easier to talk about what to do with the drums or keyboards, samples, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so, I like working over there. Yeah, better than doing stuff on my own and just sending it back and forth between people.
And what about the vocal assault on that stuff? Like everything before Mavizzle here was you guys?
For vocals?
Yeah, for vocals.
Oh no, we had 2 different people before him.
Okay.
I can't do vocals that low, or at least not that good. So
you
outsource vocals all the time.
Okay, so I had outsourced some vocals to local friends, kind of, and maybe you showed them like the track with no vocals, and then they came in and did some stuff at Walters also.
Yeah, our first vocalist, he was on the first two albums, and then whatever, like the demo and the stuff in between that, he would always come over because he's like, yeah, I don't know how to record anything, so he would come over and he would record live there. And then, yeah, even like Matty Way came over to Walter's house when he did guest vocals on that first album. So we had fucking Matty Way in there, just like recording in like, the bedroom studio.
Right. Yeah, Matty Way from Disgorge.
Yeah.
Very sick, dude, And then you, as far as like Walter, like in the drums, like obviously he's using FL Studio to like kind of, but he keeps it very like stripped down, like not, ridiculous. So in a weird way, you guys are really creating some of those. You come with the riff, you guys connect on the drums, and then like you said, multiple layers of guitars. I'm assuming, bass. Like, are you playing the bass on some of this stuff too, or?
Yeah, I play the bass on everything. Like I'll go in there, yeah, we'll, get a tempo set. I'll record to a click track, and then usually I'll just go through and record all the sections one at a time. Like I'll do bass last. I'll do all the guitars for like, a blast beat riff, and the next like, a slower part, the transitions. We'll just do one at a time, start building them all together, and then then he'll do drums, and as he's getting the drums done, that's when I start setting up the bass and getting all that ready to record.
Cool. And I mean, the sound is big, man. Like, you guys always came with it. From the first release I heard, like, I was like, whoa, this band has a very big sound, It sounds mastered well. And also, the samples, like, there would be, like, some, like, stuff going on, like, behind this sample, almost, like, keyboards, or, like, kind of like a additional, kind of like a soundtracky kind of feel. So you guys sit down and, like, kind of strip out, like, some of the background sounds, maybe, and then put those to the forefront, maybe if it's like a speaking part, and then put like a keyboard or like a sound kind of scape behind it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, yes, a lot of those like videos that you get these samples from are like terrible quality, so there's like a lot of time just spent cleaning up the audio, sometimes putting a little bit of like, reverb or something to make it pop a little bit, EQing it all. Like, I don't think there's any samples you can just like layer, or videos you can just layer in there, like, and get, to sound decent right from the get-go. And then, once we kind of like listen to the stuff we're going to sample a few times, we'll kind of start getting an idea of like the sound that we want to go underneath it. And then, that's Walter on there on the keyboards and all the pianos and synths and all that stuff.
So he's using internal like FL Studio like pianos and synths and stuff, because I know that comes with that.
Yeah, except he has like he doesn't mind like buying all those crazy like plugins, and
right.
I don't know, he's got like lists of hundreds of different types of like programs and stuff, and synths and sounds that he can use.
Cool. Yeah. FL Studio, I have it too, and I realized only after I got it, I was like, man, this thing is a fucking funnel of fucking plugins. If you really want, like, it'll let you kind of taste. It'll let you taste what it's gonna sound like with the plug-in, and then it's like, how's it going? You gotta buy that motherfucker too if you want to keep moving along, which is kind of fucked up, It's like, here's the plug-in. It sounds great, doesn't it? You're like, damn, sounds sick as fuck. It's like $39.99, please. So yeah, it's a little rough on that. I mean, do you guys and then seeing, like, going from the bedroom, say, to seeing your stuff as like a physical media, like, how did you feel when you first saw, like, people and fans and Bandcamp? I saw Bandcamp is really where I saw you guys come up the biggest. So, like, how did you feel when you first saw, like, oh shit, people are like, we unleashed this like cassette or a fucking hat or something on Bandcamp, and then next thing you know, like, there's a fucking flood of people buying that shit.
Yeah, it all went pretty quick, and then like the pace we put music out, it was like there was something new written. Like, as soon as a tape would come out, like, we already had like the next release in the hands of a label, and like, and that would be ready to come out. So like, yeah,
nice.
I don't know, it was pretty crazy. I definitely
That's
didn't
cool.
think anyone would be. I thought it would just be something that would go up on Bandcamp and like 7 people would hear. But
Right. but it took off a little bit, and you know, which is good. I mean, it's good to see that success story of a band. Okay, he's back. I was gonna say it's good to see that little success story of a band who gets to, you know, their stuff out there basically, and then
Yeah.
I'm sure even Mavizzle here was a fan before he was a friggin', you know, in the band. So he was probably like me, where they would say like, "Oh, this is coming out." Like Sean or somebody would hype it up and be like, "This is coming out. It's limited to this much," you know. And at 12 noon on fucking East, you know, I'd have to figure out like East West time, everything. Be like, "All right, I gotta fucking get this, dude," because it's gonna like by later in the afternoon it might be gone, you know. So it was, you know, your stuff was like, it seemed like it almost hard to obtain in a way, you know. Which
Yeah,
is
and
kinda,
all the
kinda cool.
original like small runs of everything. Everybody run real quick to get it.
Yeah, I mean, including me at the, you know, it's like, and then as time went on, I guess Hell's Headbangers, you started ringing in their ears a little bit.
Yeah, Chase hit me up on he hit me up on Instagram because he asked if the first two albums were going to come out on vinyl. They were just like vinyl was just delayed for a while at that point because
Right.
they wanted to do the vinyl releases of those. I said no, they were already coming out through Maggot Stomp. So I said if they wanted to do the next album, they could. And they were into it.
Oh, that's cool. And then you, I mean, as far as coming through with Maggot Stomp too, I mean, they seemed like they were like kind of during like last couple, you know, a couple years ago, like they were kind of like a very big force, you know, like in the underground. How did you hook up with Maggot Stomp?
I sent him my. It was like almost when Exploitative Practices was like close to finish. It was in like the early like mixing stages, and I sent him a couple songs off of that, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, let me see it when it's done," and he liked it and put it out.
Cool. And then
Which
what
I
was
guess,
some
yeah,
of
we weren't as much of like most of those. A lot of those bands were more of like an even crazier old school sound. I guess we were a little more, I don't know, with the drum machine. I guess
Yeah.
it doesn't a little more polished, but
and with the label itself though, I mean, would they make like 1,000 records or 300 records? What do you think the pressings were?
usually like 500, I think.
Okay. And also were those like very like gone like that, people, because people were just sucking up that crazy art and this and that, or was it more of a slow burn because people didn't really know?
No, the records like they went quick, but definitely not like right away. I think that took them like a couple months, but I think it was just like it was also like this thing with tapes. Like once like right when like Maggot Stomp and all these labels like started putting out tapes again, tapes that were just like the cool thing, and everybody like that's what I would always say. Like the CD was always the last thing to sell. Like the tapes went, and then and then the vinyl would go, and then CDs you'd be sitting on for a while. And
Right.
because they'd always press the most CDs because I guess they're the cheapest, but like the tape was just like that was just the thing like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it really was, you know, and it's cool. I mean, it was probably the most obtainable. But the weird thing is, it's like, how many people have tape decks out there
Yeah, everyone
nowadays?
had to go get
Yeah,
something
like,
to listen to it
let me
on.
get my tape deck, you know? Maggot Stomp is a gift for sure. So yeah, we're here with Fluids. I'm glad that you guys, you know, to talk to some of the releases and stuff. Anything that you would say is like you have like all these splits and some full lengths, and you know, which are not super long full lengths, but like, you know, would you, you know, with the progression of the band, like where would you say that you feel you progress the most?
I don't even know.
Because that
Definitely in the
that new stuff,
production.
yeah, it's really loud and really like big, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm kind of just trying to streamline it a little more. Like
Okay.
on the new album that's coming out, like I don't know, a little bit faster, a little bit heavier, just like quicker, going in and out a lot, you know,
Right.
not like really sticking around long on stuff. And I don't know, it'd be easier to make music where you can play like the same riff for a couple minutes at a time, but it's like blasting in and out. I have to write tons of riffs for it. But I haven't listened to the old stuff in a long time, but like every time, once in a while, I'll hear a song come up on like Instagram or something. And like a lot of the old stuff just feels like much more sludgy, slow. I guess like it's more murky sounding. Like even though it's we still use like a lot of the same like bass style and bass effects, it's just a little more punchy, like a little heavier now, I think.
Yeah, super heavy. The and then as far as like doing additional splits, and you guys like do you feel like you when you did splits or you did releases with like foreign labels or whatever, you feel like you got the music out a little more, or
Yeah, I just like to release like with different labels all over the place, and like same thing with like working with like FTOL or Brutal Mind or like any of these labels in Europe like Reality Fade, and it's kind of like to have our stuff in the hands of everybody. Like so, if you're in Europe, you can get something shipped to you cheaply. If you're in Asia, you can get it there cheap because like it's not cheap. Like getting anything on Bandcamp, it costs us like $20 to ship in like a CD or
yeah,
a record to Europe. So like that sucks for them. So it's like to have everything like as far out as I can so people can get it close to them for cheaper.
Have you ever found, like, I know back in like the 80s, like Japan or something, they said like Faces of Death was like the best, like #1 over ET or whatever. Do you have
Really?
any kind of like country that or area where like there's so like a concentration of fans that you're like, man, the fucking people here are fucking nuts?
I don't know. I think you can look up all that stuff like where all your sales and streams go on Bandcamp, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff we ship to Australia. Like if it's going out of the country,
Yeah.
the UK probably.
UK?
UK, Germany, a lot of stuff in Australia. But yeah, I'm trying to think. But then like Rectal Purulence, that label that we do stuff with in Mexico, he like anything that comes out from other labels, he hits me up right away just asking for distro on it. So like he's basically like our connection in Mexico where you can get it cheaply through him.
Right. And then
So,
have you ever had like anyone bring anything into the mix as far as like either playing on your stuff? Like you said, you had Matty Way. I think Sean from Desert Wasteland mentioned something.
yeah, let him like anytime I needed like a guitar solo that was probably like that dude's a real good guitar player. Like he plays like Van Halen licks and like just crazy tapping solos, and like I can play solos and stuff, but definitely not as clean and like high end as his. So anytime I needed like something real like dramatic or epic, I would bring him in for a solo piece.
Cool. Any others?
Oh, Larry Wang, he's done guest vocals on like not just a rap album, but also on Not Dark Yet.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, mostly just guest vocals that'll come in. Sean was
Okay.
the only one that would come in like instrumentally.
Okay, yeah, and physically too, right?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
while he had the label.
Yeah. So yeah, Reality Fade from Ukraine, ordered from them a few times. Yeah, it's cool that you hooked up with a Ukrainian label too.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. Yeah, Benson. That's why I was asking too. Maggot. I guess I'm assuming you're talking about Maggot Stomp. They had the Piss and Cum vinyl variants. They're definitely sick fucking releases.
Yeah, I think they wanted to call it milk and beer and milk is what they originally wanted to call those colors.
You're like, no, piss and cum. Like it's more of our style here, fluids. Where did you guys come up with that name?
I came up with it, but I was just. It seemed like every band, like by the time Fluid started, and like every band name or every single fucked up sounding name or thing or was already taken. So I was trying to think of something that like didn't sound graphic or gory or grotesque, but like basically that's what I was trying. Like I was going for it. Like I spent like a week just trying to find like a word that. Like if you think about it like with the imagery, then like your mind would just like come up with gross stuff for it, like what kind of fluids are those? But yeah, I just wanted something that didn't sound very death metal, but like once you thought about it, it is pretty fucking gross.
Yeah, it fits nice. definitely fits nice to the sound, and the name being a short name too is always important as a band, basically, because the shorter your name is, the more in a weird way, like more people know about it.
Yeah, because I like what was it, like the early 2000s, like every band was going to like 3 or 4, word names at that point. Probably because like they'd run out of all the single word band names for metal stuff.
They did. Somebody asking a rig rundown and post some of your tabs, bro.
The rig rundown.
We do talk about that on here sometimes. Like, like what kind of guitar do you fuck with, or bass, stuff like that.
The 2 main guitars. I have a what is it? ESP LT. Was it the LTD 1000 or M1000? White one with the active pickups in it, and then I have a Kramer, like a black Kramer from like I think it's from, I don't know, it's probably 20-25 years old, but I've been using those as like 2 of my main ones. And then I had a Warlock with some passive pickups and a Floyd Rose on it that I used on like everything up until like the first couple of releases and demos and stuff.
Okay.
But I'll give them like my bass tone it's 2 pedals, and that's what most people usually want to know about. Like the guitar stuff's nothing too crazy. I'm just using lots of solid state, high gain tones for that stuff. Nothing special. But the bass tone is a DoD death metal pedal, and then running into the DoD death metal is a DoD Supra distortion. So I got like the early, like the earliest models they made of them. Cause they made them, I think they made them up until like the 2000s, but these ones are from like the early 90s, late 80s or something.
Okay. Yeah, vintage. So and then as far as like the amps, you're not amping up your stuff, right? Everything's direct?
Some of it's been amped up, but most of the time I'm just going direct at this point.
Okay. I figured that. And then,
but yeah, I do definitely get out. I have a huge pedal collection. Like basically any pedal that has like rock or metal or any kind of metal in the name, I've collected over time. So I have like a bunch of stuff to mess with.
Nice. And then what about the tuning of the band?
G standard.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything up until Ignorance Exalted was A standard. And then we found another set of good strings I could use on like a normal guitar, and we went lower.
Right. Yeah. Because you guys have a super fucking low sound too,
Yeah. I'm still playing like standard tuning though. I've never been able to I can't play guitar like when you drop tune and like have to do like lots of bar chords and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was just never like comfortable, even though like you can write heavy ass shit with it. It's just kind of like awkward to play like that.
So having an old guitar player, Mavizzle, in your band, what were you used to tune to? A or not A, E? What were you playing? You used to play guitar, bro, before you sang?
Yeah, I mean, I used to fuck around with like C standard. Usually is what I'd play in C standard, because that's what Black Dahlia fucking tuned, and I used to play a lot of that shit. And then a lot of just E standard, acoustic, whatever, country type shit, just playing whatever. Yeah, going lower than that, I'm trying to right now, fucking around with a little something, but yeah, it's just, it sucks because like whenever I want to do some like different ass tuning, I don't have the right strings for shit, and then I'm like, fuck, now I gotta go make a trip, and I'm a lazy fuck, so.
Or use a different vehicle there, different guitar that's tuned to a certain way, maybe.
Yeah, I tried to like get a professional setup done one time, and I told this guy to put me in C standard, and he told me, you can't do that with this kind of guitar. You need a baritone guitar. And I was like, I'm never getting a professional fucking setup done ever again. Like, because this guy's fucking stupid. Like, I totally did it myself, with like the right strings. So it's like, yeah, I play a Paul Reed Smith and a BC Rich War Beast for my lower tuning shit. But
yeah, it's definitely hard to find like a setup, because I use Floyd Roses on all the guitars, so you can do lots of dive bombs and shit. But it's not that easy to like set them up using these gigantic gauge strings that,
Right.
because like they're definitely not like made for that.
Yeah, it's like
You probably
it's like,
should be playing on like a longer neck baritone guitar, but I just use like your normal guitar with the Floyd Rose.
it's like a death metalers like reinvented like how to use the guitar by taking like this standard fucking strings and be like, no, I'm gonna take the top one from this one or the lower one or whatever, and fucking rearrange them. So it's like it's kind of cool how like even what do you guys think about like what do you call it, a 7-string guitars?
I've never like played one like at like Guitar Center or something before, but I don't know. Like when they first came out, it was always just like associated with like gent or all this stuff, and then I barely even use the 6 that I got on the regular guitar. So I'm like, what do I need another?
What do you need some
string
additional
for?
ones for?
Yeah. When I was in that band where they kicked the drummer out, that was another change they were trying to make. They were like, yeah, we need to all get 7 strings now too. I was like, the fuck? Like, we're like really changing everything. Like, that was another reason I left. I'm like, and ever since then, I've kind of been turned off to them. The other thing I don't like too, those like guitars that don't have like the fucking don't have the headstock on them and shit. Like, those are just like, goofy looking and shit. I mean, I'd fuck with one, but like, I probably wouldn't fuck with one. No, you wouldn't see me playing one of those fucking guitars. I look like a fucking canoe. I ain't touching
I mean,
that shit.
they say that those hold their tuning, which is weird because like I never realized like I had put out this band Crematory from Sweden. We were pretty fucking tuned down, and I had played like a live video on here, and I didn't even realize the guy was playing fucking 6-string with no fucking headstock on it. I'm like, holy fuck, dude! I never realized all these years that they were using that. You know what I mean? 6 will get any job done. There you go. 7 is for new metal. So what about
I barely use any of those high strings, so it's like, the low 4 are enough for me for most of the stuff we do.
What about Mavizzle bringing some riffs to the game? Is that a possibility in some?
I'm not interested in fucking with this guy's the riff god. Like the only thing I'm focused on is what I'm assigned to do and making it better. If we do something else, I mean, I'd throw ideas out there, but I don't think to be honest, like I really, even guitar for me is like a hobby, dude. I got tendonitis in my left arm. Like if I'm playing anything, it's going to be insanely simple shit. And I just can't, like maybe if we had to like do like me on bass or something, like if we needed it live or something, maybe if that ever happened, but I don't even, I mean, what I'm doing now is hard enough, like
what about the live? I didn't even ask. Like, would you guys ever consider doing the live?
Yeah, we're definitely talking about it.
That's
so
good.
Yeah, with the old singers in the band, like our first singer, he was in another band called Lago, but it was just like hardly any time to do anything. So they're not, we wouldn't have time to rehearse. And if we're gonna do a live thing, you can't like do it half-assed. We gotta, be fully locked in for it.
Would you come with a real drummer if you were gonna go live?
That's still trying to figure that one out. But
right.
I think we'd go like live drummer, and then Walter would just be back there like operating, like doing the samples and stuff in between songs. I mean, some of the songs have a little bit of electronics in them, unlike some of the slower ones.
Right.
And then maybe get some kind of like little video montage going up on a projector in the background or something.
Yeah, I mean, I really could see that sometimes. Like if you guys did, pull it together for a live thing, I could definitely see people kind of wanting to come out for that and check it out. Being that you kind of been like a studio only thing, then beyond that, kind of not really. Like, there's really not really like a full-on like showing of your faces across all these releases. You know what I mean? So people, they want to put together like, oh, these are the faces that make that fucking music.
Yeah.
And usually that's done live. So I mean, just I had a curiosity about that because I noticed there's like you guys are amongst maybe a band that's more like studio only. If you were to play live, who would you want to play with?
I don't know. I've never even thought about it.
You know what would be tight if we did a show where it was just Fluids and then Mortician, and you call it Fluids versus Mortician, and then someone bootlegs it, and then that's the split.
Right.
That would be fucking sick.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely, at some point, do you ever feel like, maybe I am making a riff that's a little too mortician-y here, or you're just making what you make and then that's how it comes out?
Every once in a while, sometimes on some of those tuba songs with those tuba beats, like because Mortician did those tubas so well. But yeah, I haven't even. It's been a long time. I actually just listened to him for the first time in a while. Listened to the one with the live drums where they play all the way through, the Final Bloodbath.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was listening to it because I was curious as to what it sounded like with the real drummer when we were talking about doing live stuff. So I was like, let's see what it sounded like versus drum machine, because I hadn't heard it in a while. So
yeah, I mean Raj also too. He played drums live for Malignancy and Mortician, and then he let someone else take the Malignancy guitar player play guitar instead of him. So he was a tight drummer too, man.
Yeah, I've heard him play. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I bought like all Mortician's old gear because Raj was like emptying out his bottom floor or whatever.
Like so before he moved to Vegas?
Yeah, before he moved to Vegas. He used to live in the Poconos. And then he moved to near Poughkeepsie with his girl. And then they moved to Vegas. But so when he still was in the Poconos, I used to go to his house. And it's kind of like I learned how to screen print because of Raj. Because we would go to his house. Like I would want some shirts printed for like whoever, like say Gut or something, and then I would go to his house and then we would hang out and we would like watch action movies and smoke weed for like 9 fucking hours first, and then we would go and make the shirts in what felt like a fucking half an hour. And I'm like, damn, what the fuck, dude? Like I have other shit, I gotta go home, bro. Like there was one time I was at his house for like 3 fucking days, I swear, dude. Like, and I'm like, yo, man, I gotta get these shirts. I gotta go home, dude. I got a fucking family and shit, So, like, I was like, he just kept smoking and smoking and smoking. And, or almost stopping to, like, write fucking songs, for Prosthetic Cunt in the middle of things, To be like, oh, you know what? Or let's start a band right now. Because he had, like, a kind of a studio in his basement, like kind of right off where he pressed shirts, But eventually he had sold all his stuff. I bought like the t-shirt press off him at one point. Then I had bought like their studio kit that they went on a tour, their drum set. I had like a nice rack and all this shit. And then because we were doing like a festival, New Jersey Death Fest 1 actually, which was like in 2009. And then at one time, before the fest, Raj was kind of helping me like a stage manager situation. So we set up all the fucking drums in my house on the 3rd floor. And Raj set up all the stuff real nice. And then he was playing it. And my kids came in and they were like, what the fuck is that? Because it was so loud, And they were just staring at like Raj, and so was I. And I was like, man, he can fucking bang, dude. Like I can't believe how good of a drummer he is, considering, you hear like the drum machine beats, and you think, well, oh, the guy wrote it with a drum machine. The machine did it for him, But it's like that ain't the truth, Like you got to really know what the fuck you're doing with the programming. But then seeing him do like almost the same shit live was pretty amazing to me. I was like, damn, dude, like I always look at you as like a fucking guitar player, but now you're murdering it, and then you're doing it like in front of my kids, and they're like looking at him like, holy shit, like look how fast he's playing, So it was kind of cool.
Shit, he plays on guitars.
Surreal moment. What's that?
Like all the shit he plays on guitars and like outside of Mortician, like I've watched just videos of him like doing riffs on YouTube and shit, and he's like, I can shred.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, tapping, all that stuff. He can really play like a nut. I mean, he was a good inspiration to be around, and it's still, I talked to him even this past week, so like, that he's always kind of next level with either the advertising, especially over the last so many years with Mortician's the amount of output of, you know, shirts and merch and, you know what I mean? And then his store, like he was into toys before he opened his store. So now he's got like a toy store, but they sell death metal too, you know? He helps a lot of bands like produce merchandise, you know what I mean? Like a Sanguisuga Bog or something, you know, like helping them get like, you know, flags or stickers or, you know what I mean? A lot of different stuff, making production of like things in the back room there. And he's got like a little team. He built a team up, you know, which is nice because I saw the genesis of him just talking about it. Like, I'm going to rent this place out. It's this much money and I got to get these racks and, you know, and I'm like, well, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to bring your Star Wars toys from home and sell them at the store? He's like, yeah, I'm going to fucking, you know, he's like, I got all these old ones too. And then I bought these new ones and I go out like and raid fucking Walmart in the middle of the night, you know, when they first put out their shit, you know?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be in Vegas on Monday, and we usually stay at the Palace Station. Then I looked up his place. It's like it's like a quarter of a mile from the hotel we stay at. So if I can get there early enough, I'll try and stop in before they're open.
Yeah, I don't think they're open on Mondays, actually.
Shit. I guess it'll be next trip then.
But Raj usually is. He does go there, though, to feed the cats, so you might actually catch up with him, you know? Especially early.
Yeah,
So
he'll probably be open that day. He's watching this right now. He'll be open.
He might be.
Day.
I mean, I didn't the courtesy text before, but I'll let him know. But yeah,
maybe he can play drums when Fluids goes live. That would be fucking crazy hard.
Yeah, that would be.
That would be sick.
That would be fucking.
The last show I was at was Mortician and Malignancy at St. Vitus. Very cool, man.
Fuck. Well, guys, I got a dinner reservation I got to hit, so I got to bounce out of here. Roy, do you want me to show my penis before I get off?
No, you keep it in your pants, homie. Show it to show it to the people you're trying to sell rat poison to or whatever. So,
all right. Thanks for having me.
So tonight, thank you for the interview too, Jan. We're gonna continue the night without you guys, or if you're welcome to stick around too. I'm just gonna play some foul music and try not to get any more copyright strikes. So tonight, this is Death Metal Podcast. Thank you for just filling us in about a band, because I feel like there's a lot of mystery about Fluids in general. So thank you for coming on and talking and just filling the fans in and everybody that is in the chat. Appreciate you. So all right, guys, I'll talk to you.
Thanks, man. It was fun.
Cool, man. It was awesome, dude.
Check out the new Fluids album. I don't know when it's coming, but it should be coming.
It should be coming.
All right. Later, guys.
Later.
So this is Death Metal Podcast. This is our disgusting that episode with Fluids. We're gonna play a few more songs and then we'll be out of here. Stop filling me with fluids. Those guys are definitely cool, man. I mean, it's and it's nice to know like behind the curtain of like what the fuck's happening with these bands. Especially somebody like them, because some of the releases, like some of these tapes and stuff, just a few that I have in my collection, these were sick, man. Like, these are good fucking tight releases. I have the CDs, and then, and that I'm obviously one of those cassette nerds, right? Instead of the vinyls. But I have some of their stuff on CD, too. And those mini disc things that we were showing earlier. They put out very tight packaging, man, I think this one's cracked, but pretty sick shit. The there wasn't much info in any of the releases, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like, for me, it's cool to see like the people behind the curtain, like I said, man. I wanted try to bring that to Death Metal Podcast, because I thought that it would be interesting to just see the guys that were in Fluids, man, because I know a lot of people probably fuck with it from Bandcamp and stuff. So we're gonna play a few songs, and then we'll be out of here. So check this out. I wanted to play like this is just like Fluids, themed. So this is an old band though. All right, that was Morgue Fetus, old demo. Yeah, Cum Clotted Necropsy. So Raj from Mortician, he had like a side band, which was kind of influenced by when we would hang out and like hang out in my basement. Now I'm not probably gonna play not the right song, but he had written a song. It was well, it says it on here. It's the fourth song. I don't know what song I'm gonna play the first song, but so he didn't really come with a name, and then he just called it Gore Project. And then the fourth song was basically he wrote about me, Sleaze Collector.
gente hecho por un man, no es como la platica el señor. Y pues, la verdad, pues qué más le puedo decir yo. Manden poniendo el dedo, córtense bien, si miran algo cállense y van a estar tranquilos. Ya nosotros que, ya nosotros ya valimos verga, y pues a lo que falta más para adelante, pues que se pongan abusados. Es todo lo que les puedo decir.
A select few, you might as well go ahead and admit it. You might as well own up to the philosophy for some of you, and that is that life sucks, and then you die.
Fuck this shit! Go fuck yourself, bitch!
That was my boy Rick from Slough. Had so many bands. So he was in not only that Morgue Fetus I played earlier, but also in that band Anal Getaway. Roy, I got a slam project with me on vocals. I hope I could share with you fully mastered at the end of the month. That would be sick, man. So yeah, Kniff and Duster. So yeah, I just wanted to round this out with a few scuzzy jams. Probably not going to stay on too long. The main focus was really the interview. I'm pretty talked out from yesterday. So one or two more songs and I'm out of here. Thank you for everyone that did tune in. Stefan Goldberg, Mike Violate, My Name is War, Jesus Drinks Jet Fuel, Jeff Chapman, Cam, appreciate you. Let's see who else we have here. Teddy Tommy, thank you for tuning in all the time, man. Nick Hickok. Let's see who else. No Balone, Vesuvius Corpse Flower. I didn't see you hiding in there. Death Evocation. Ed Munster Masher 88. So they said they were gonna play live possibly if they pulled something together. Necron, JD, how's it going? Who else here? Let's see. But appreciate you guys tuning in, man, because that was a pretty sick interview. Try to come with some different bands and talk to different people just to see that they need a DVD. You're right. I believe that too, man. Thank you, man. Hammer, Chan, Cutter, 80. You're always here too. Appreciate you with the appreciate you guys for tuning in, man, because Brent C, if you're still in the chat. All you other fucking lurkers and shit too. So appreciate Nameless Ghoul for 210 was cool, man. Had a lot of cool things. So basically, yeah, I mean, it was sick to do an interview with a band that's pretty fucking unknown, like as far as like human fucking form. We see them on Bandcamp. Thank you, Evan Williams. We see them on Bandcamp and we cop their tapes, and then they go to maybe a record label or something. But it's nice to see the people behind the scenes, So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Yeah, I don't want to go for 25 hours tonight. So I just wanted to be, talk to the band, play a few jams, be out. So I hope you guys are enjoying. Let's see what we have here. This band had done a split with Libido Airbag, but this was their demo stuff. Alright, I'm going to let you guys chew on the fluids one more time or suction them down, and then I'm out of here. So we'll play that one song again, the new song. This hasn't release date even yet, but later.